Hi, Mark and Drew. My name is Ariel Zlakovsky. I'm with Encounter, and today it is a pleasure to introduce to you our tabulation software, Ntable, which allows you to quickly and efficiently tabulate data right within Excel. We start our project with a blank Excel sheet called Table. This is where the output will be going. We also have a sheet that contains the raw data, one for the source, and one called List, which has some information we'll be using later. To begin, I click on the Excel ribbon, select Ntable, and summon the questions wizard. The first thing it'll have me do is create a valid column. What this does is it creates a column within the raw data that specifies the validity of each data point. If I find that one is invalid, I simply delete the yes, and that takes it out of the calculations. I'll put this one back in, go into the questions wizard, and select create from source. Now it'll have me select the source format. We currently take 3 different formats, including Confirm It, EFS Service Request Back, and SPSS. This is EFS, and I'll be using the defaults, so I click OK. Now on the source, I'm going to select everything to do with the first question. Have you already participated in a survey about hypertension during the last 2 months? In the question wizard, I'll click on Create from Source, and Ntable automatically scans what I've selected and pulls in as much information as it can. You can see it selected this as a single choice question, which is correct, question number 1. It knows we'll be looking at column V11 within the raw data with a potential range of answers of 1 to 2. The reason it's orange is it wants me to check it just to make sure. I simply click on it, that goes away, this turns green, and we're ready to go. There are 518 respondents, of which 110 said yes, and 408 said no. I'll click on Quick Insert, and we have our first question, simple as that. Now let's go to our source and select the second question. Approximately how many hypertension patients do you treat per month? I'll click on Create from Source, but for this particular question, I want to treat it as a single choice question, question number 2. Now I can manually put in whatever ranges I want, but in my list sheet, I have some predetermined ranges I'd like to use. I simply select them, click on Copy from Excel Selection, and the question wizard automatically pulls in the labels as well as the ranges. One thing I'll want to fix is for 101 and more patients, I'll change this to match our syntax of 101 to max. Everything else looks good. I can click on things individually to approve them one at a time, or use the Approve button at the bottom to approve everything all at once. Now I'll click Insert, and our second question is complete. Let's go back to our source and we'll do our third question. Which was the most recent information you received regarding AT2 antagonists? This is an open-ended question, and as you can see, Ntable automatically recognizes it as such, question number 3. The query for base is V114, so I'm going to find that among my options and select it. Here we go. Once again, in my list sheet, I have a code frame I'd like to use, so I'm going to select it, click on Copy from Excel Selection, and that pulls everything in. Now I'm going to approve everything and click Insert. Now let's do our fourth question. Through which sources did you recently receive information about AT2 antagonists? The question wizard automatically recognizes this as a multiple choice question, question number 4. The base range is 0 to 1, and the default for this format is to count ones. However, in this particular situation, I want to count the yeses, which are 0. So I'll change this 1 to a 0. What you'll notice is that this is a live preview of the tabulation, so as soon as I replace the 1 with a 0, these numbers automatically change. Everything else looks good, so I'll approve and quick Insert. Let's do our fifth and final question. For each of the following treatment options, how do you estimate the treatment's acceptability over the next 6 months? I'll select it, Create from Source, and once again the program has recognized this correctly as a matrix question, question number 5. The question wizard has recognized that we'll be counting a range of 1 to 7 for 5 different categories. Everything here looks good. One last thing we can do is various statistical measures. We have some predefined groups of medians, standard deviations, and the like, but I want to do a custom combination. I'll do the top 2, so I put in the range of 6 to 7, and it pulls in the label of top 2 automatically. I also want to do averages, and I'll select these overview boxes and we'll see what this does in just a second. Now I approve and quick Insert. As you can see, we now have our tabulation from 1 to 7 for all 5 categories. And down at the bottom we have the overviews. This pulls in all 5 top 2 values, as well as all 5 average values, just for convenience. Now that you've seen how easy it is to create questions automatically, let's see how we create questions manually. I go to the question wizard and select a single choice question, and this is going to be a demographic question. What is your state of residence? Now in my raw data, I have a column called State, which has responses of 1, 2, 3, and higher. So I'm going to select that as my query, and let's say that 1s are people who live in Washington, 2 is residents of Oregon, and 3 and above is anything in the rest of the country. I'm going to change the syntax to say 3 to max. Now everything else looks good, So as always, I'll approve and quick insert. I'm going to create one more question manually. This will be another demographic single choice question. What is your gender? In my raw data, I have another column all the way at the very end called vGender. So I'm going to select that to use as my query. Now let's say that men are 1 and women are 2s. So I'll put in those codes, 1 and 2, and the program will automatically put in the ranges that correspond to that. Now I'll approve and quick insert, and just like that, we have 2 more questions in our table. Now let's create some crossbreaks. I'll close the question wizard and go into the ribbon to pull up the crossbreak wizard. The first one we'll do manually. So I'll put in a crossbreak called gender, and I'll create the first column. The query will be v_gender 1 to 1. Of course, in the previous question, we defined 1 as men, so I'll put in the name, male. There are 310 respondents, which matches with what we just found. Now I'll create a new column, v_gender 2 to 2, and that is the woman. And that's all I have to do. I'll click on OK. Now I'll apply, and those 2 columns will be immediately created. Now I'll select all and retabulate, and in just a matter of seconds, our crossbreak has been created and tabulated. Let's create one more, but this one we'll do automatically. This next crossbreak will be based on the state of residence, so I'll select the question that I created recently and add the new crossbreak. However, this time, I won't add in anything manually. Instead, I'll use the Import Everything from Selection button. This automatically pulls in the name of the question, as well as the queries, and each of the columns that I'd like to use. You'll also notice that each column is assigned a letter, C, D, and E. This is because Ntable can automatically calculate statistical significance, as we'll see in just a second. I'll apply those settings, select everything, and by pressing F5 on my keyboard, we'll retabulate the entire table. Now that crossbreak has been created, and anytime the program notices a data point that is statistically significant, it puts a letter in the corresponding column. So as you can see, this row is significant, as is the next one, and so on. I'll close the crossbreak wizard, and let's take a look at the syntax of the program. On the left-hand side of the table, there's a very large group of information. This is where the program stores instructions for the raw data inquiries it makes for each question. One of the biggest features of Ntable is that it works entirely within Excel, which makes it very easy to learn and allows you to continue to use the normal functionalities of Excel. I've decided to take another look at my second question. Approximately how many hypertension patients do you treat in a month? I'd like to change my distribution of patient ranges, and in fact, I'd like to get rid of this range entirely. No problem, this is just a standard Excel spreadsheet, so I can just delete the row. Now, I can change the range of this row to be from 6 to 20 patients simply by going directly into the syntax and changing the values. I'll press F5 on my keyboard to retabulate, and the numbers will immediately reflect my changes. Another powerful feature is the ability to work with this template column, allowing us to change the look of the output. So let's say that I want my absolute values to be highlighted in yellow, and that I want the text of my percentage values to be, for instance, red. I simply select which rows I want to retabulate, press F5 on my keyboard, and immediately the output matches the look of the template I just created. And again, this is all possible because Ntable works directly within Excel, allowing us to use the powerful features of Ntable while retaining the functionality and familiarity of Excel. To finish this project, we'll do some data weighting. I've noticed that we have a rather large difference between the number of men and women, and I'm afraid that it might be influencing my output. So, I'll go to the ribbon, select the Transform button, and summon the weighting wizard. This will prompt me to create a weighting column, which I'll call Gender Weighting. Now, a new column will be created within my raw data, and I'll set a query for vGender 1 to 1, which we know from before is men. There are 310 respondents and 408 total, so my weighted N will be 204. The wizard will automatically calculate the weight factor. I'm going to set a color of orange and create a new column for the woman, v_gender 2 to 2. Once again, the weighted N is 204, and the weight factor is calculated automatically. Now I'll set a color of blue for this data, and this will just allow me to do a quick visual check to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Everything looks good, so I'll make sure that this weighting column is turned on, close the wizard, go to the table, select everything, and retabulate, and as soon as I do so, the numbers should change. As you can see, they did, so this project is now complete and is ready to export. I'll go into the ribbon, select Export, and now I can fill out some of the project information. This project's name is Sample Project, created for an awesome client, thank you for listening, produced by Ariel. I can choose to include or disinclude whatever information I'd like, so I'm going to delete the last 2 rows. We have the ability to export 2 different types of workbooks. This will be a regular table. We can also export charting data, which strips out unnecessary information and leaves just enough to create beautiful charts in PowerPoint. I'll click on Next, and now I can choose how I'd like to export my crossbreaks. For instance, I don't want to have my gender crossbreak and state of residence crossbreaks together, so I'm going to delete the second one, but I'll create a new sheet where I'll have the total and state of residency crossbreak. Now I have 2 sheets, each with a total and one of 2 crossbreaks. Now I'll click on Export, and within just a few seconds, we'll have our completed product to look at. This is going to be pure output with no formulas and no syntax of the program in it. We have 2 sheets. Sheet 1 contains the total and gender crossbreak, and Sheet 2 contains the total and state of residency crossbreak. We can navigate quickly in the upper left-hand corner by selecting whatever question we want to go to, which brings us quickly to the tabulation for that question. And that's our sample project. In just a few short minutes, we've created questions automatically and manually, incorporated crossbreaks, explored the syntax and template of the program, done data weighting, and exported a beautiful product. It was all fast, intuitive, and automated, and completely within Excel. You can learn more about nCounter and the services and products we provide at ncounter.de/en or contact me directly. Thanks for watching.